I mean, Derrick, I gotta start with you, man. Like, so what happened with the leg? What happened with the knee? You alluded to this a little bit on social media. Now that it's all said and done, I would love to hear sort of the full story as to what happened. I heard you got surgery on your ACL. Is that what happened?
Yeah, it was ended up being a torn ACL and meniscus. I mean, it happened right when I jumped in that mud pit. So I decided to continue playing the game. I actually left that day in an ambulance and went to see a doctor. I did ask the challenge gods if I do leave in an ambulance, will I get removed from the game? And they're like, "This is on you." So, I went. The doctor, gave us, gave me his thoughts and diagnosis on it, and he thought it was that I damaged the meniscus at the time. We didn't, do MRIs or X-rays because it wasn't like I could still put pressure on it. I could still step up on things. There wasn't weirdly enough, I've had a lot of injuries. There was not much swelling and there was no bruising.
Hmm.
So it kind of like, you didn't know. Like when you have injuries, we all know this. We wait, we see what we could do. And then you kind of go from there. So, for me, it was just interesting to watch somebody with the torn ACL continue to do things, especially so fresh, like sometimes when you hurt yourself, you kind of wait a little while. Here, we're not waiting very long. It's like 2-3 days and, you're back in doing something physical. I was obviously hoping for a swim or a hang or, maybe another trivia, but all right, not really, not another trivia, but yeah, that's
Exactly. Don't be careful what you wish for. Well, let's talk about maybe something, Avery, that looked like it may have caused you some injuries. Maybe not a torn ACL, but the way you went out, I mean, that looked like and you put up a fight, but that looked a little bit of a rough beatdown with you against Rachel. And we see in the episode that there's like, I don't understand, Avery sticking her arms out. She's not moving around a lot compared to what
Right.
Corey and Derek did. So talk to me about sort of what was your headspace during that elimination as you were trying to evade Rachel?
Yeah, well, the thing is like I think that nobody like maybe they didn't touch upon it. We were told as, competitors in this arena, we're not allowed to defend ourselves. So I couldn't block my head. I couldn't like
Mm.
I asked multiple times, I'm like, so if she's punching me, I can't defend myself. They're like, no, you can't because there's targets everywhere. Like you can't. I'm like, so I just have to sit there and basically take it. They're like, yeah, basically. So, after a couple punches, I'm like, this is actually bullshit. Like this isn't even fun. Like that's one like element that I think, I missed from being on the All-Stars 4. No matter what it was, I could be scared shitless, but at least I could find some fun in it of like why I'm scared and then kind of push it through. Like when we went to this boxing thing, I didn't even understand. I'm like, how is this gladiator? Like how I was very confused. I'm like I was thinking like a gladiator ring would be like a more of like, like what Derek and Mark did, like a pole wrestle where there was
Mm.
something. Like for me, I was just like, there's no way. Like going in it, I already kind of knew. I mean, look at Rachel and look at me. Like, I mean, it's you can't, and I'm just like, all I asked her was like, yo, just don't make me bleed and don't fuck up my face. And that's all I'm asking. And she was like, all right, I can do that for you. And I'm like, thank you. All I know is I can definitely take a hit. I have not been in a fight where I can't defend myself or I can't see. So that was a new one. But at least I can still, get rocked around and still maintain some sort of headspace. But what they also didn't show too is I kept asking somebody to check me out because my head was just like obviously like I got walloped on, but none
Mm.
of the people like I kept asking like, can I go talk to somebody? Can I see something? Like my head hurts and it hurt for 3 days. Like and no one like they all like they just kind of trying to push it underneath the table like, oh, you're fine, you can talk to us, you're fine. I was like, I don't know if I'm fine, like can I please get checked out? And yeah, I didn't get checked out. And the moral of the story, no one ever did anything. But yeah, so like being up there, like after you get rocked a couple times where I'm like, whoa, like this isn't fun. I just was praying to God the time would go out. Like I was just like, this is the longest. I think we were in what, Derek, like a minute? I'm like, this is a minute lasts forever, especially
fi-
when you're just
fi-
like, okay.
It was 5
Like,
minutes.
great, even better. Like,
I mean,
like after
I mean,
after she knocked everything off, I wish they would just stop the time.
I thought they did.
Like,
I thought that they did. I thought
yeah, I
that
don't think they
after
did.
I'm pretty sure, could be wrong.
I mean, listen,
Whenever
Avery took some blows to. I mean, did you end up eventually getting checked out by like, did you get a concussion or anything, Avery?
They wouldn't. I asked like after the show, like they wouldn't. And I think that's the only thing that I'm kind of mad at production about, like just a tiny bit. Like I'm fine now, but yeah, like I just wanted to get checked out. Like, can someone look at my eyes? Like something, because I've never had a concussion, but I was like, I didn't feel right for a couple days afterwards. Like I felt very truly dazed. Like I
Mm,
felt like I was like really slow reaction time and like just like this doesn't. I feel like airy, like la la.
mm.
But I feel fine now. But like, to say that I got knocked out by Rachel, I'll totally take that because Rachel is probably the best female competitor we have ever had. I know that, there are men that don't even want to go up against Rachel. And so for me to be like, hey, I went up against Rachel, and I semi survived. Like, so I know the power that she holds. Hopefully, if I ever get to play again, I would love to work with Rachel. That's my end game because she's such a powerful woman. And she has a lot of insight that she can give about this game. But yeah, it wasn't very fun for me. I'll just say that. I was ready to go home
uh,
after that. I was very ready to go home.
Well, Derek, I
you know,
want to talk about your time in the ring against Corey because it culminates obviously in a bit of a tense episode between the two of you, between the thrown life jacket and a bit of the spar that you got into at the deliberation. But like, really conciliatory, gestures to each other right afterwards, where Corey's like, I admire the heart you bring. I want to bring that as well. Talk to me about that sort of give and take you guys had over the course of this round.
I mean, so I mean, the little moment we had there at the end where we hug and embrace, and he kind of like speaks from his heart, and he gets a little choked up. Watching it back, I mean, I got emotional. But and like I appreciate the love that we had in that moment. I think it's something that um you know only people that like experience like that type of elimination will always remember. I know that Averey speaks about it like it's getting eaten by a tiger because you almost can't breathe. You can't defend yourself. You can't move without getting popped. For us, it was very much a solid back and forth. After the first round, I thought that I thought that I didn't have a stand a chance after the first round. And then when I got in there and I was able to attack him, I felt pretty good about my chances. Of course, it comes down to the times, and he beats me. But gosh, I just it was such an intense, emotional back and forth. From watching it back to being in there to understanding like how close it was. It was just one of those eliminations that will, for me, go down in challenge history. That will be right up there with the Joss elimination, with the West elimination, with the Cyrus elimination, with even
Hmm.
the Adam elimination, my very first one. I mean, this is a battle that I got to share with this guy, and it was that of equivalent to like a UFC fight or a boxing match where both competitors think they win at the end of it, and it comes down to the time, and one wins, one loses, and it was just felt like TJ really with that poker face. He at the end he says, "Derrick, you did it fast, but Corey, you did it faster." It just felt like he took that final gladiator sword and shoved it right through my chest, and that was it.
Well, I
Was that
want to
was
talk.
that dramatic enough for you?
Oh, 100%. Made for the silver screen. Avery, I want to talk about the dramatic moment that you had down in the sand earlier this season. Of course, your first elimination, really the first like big elimination of the season. Such a to-do. You forced this stalemate basically to protect Derrick. I mean, talk to me about went through your head there because this was your first time back on the flagship in such a long time. I would imagine while you love this friendship, there was a part of you that was like, oh, do I want to risk this so much considering I just came back to MTV for the first time in years?
Honestly, no. There wasn't any part of me that thought like that. Maybe I should have thought like that. But no, for me, it was, to be honest, Derrick was one of the reasons I volunteered myself. So
Hmm.
I always am thinking. I'm a thinker, so I'm always playing chess in my head. So one, I had already told Corey and Tori, if they save me, let me prove myself to you. We're going down the lines. We're volunteering captains. Okay. I'm not an idiot. In the challenge, great risk, great reward. Right? There's a reason we're picking one male and one female. I already had something up my sleeve. Like these are who's either going in or these are who are safe. And so I had to really think smart. And then when I heard Derrick say, I'll volunteer, in my head, it was ratios. So if I say yes and I'll volunteer myself, I have a 50-50 shot of being safe because Derrick won't say my name versus a 25% shot, which is just me if I win. So the reason that I picked myself was because of Derrick, knowing full well that if Derrick would have won, he wouldn't have picked me. Like
Hmm.
we had that agreement, especially this early on in the game. Would we have to pick each other down the line? Absolutely. Would we have any problem with that? No, because we understand it's a game and obviously it gets smaller and smaller to pick. But from the very first one when we have, 30 something other people to pick from, he's going to try to save me because that's just our friendship. And so that's why I picked it, knowing that, Derrick would save me. Like there wasn't no ifs, ands, or buts. Like I know he would have saved me. And in retrospect, same thing. Like he knows I wouldn't pick him. Like it's almost safety. That's kind of why I picked part of the reason why I would pick my targets. I'm like, okay, so who's gonna save, Jordan if they go down there? Like who's not gonna pick him? Who's not gonna do this or that? So that's why. And then when Tony just wouldn't really give me an explanation of why he actually wanted to stalemate me rather than just, with his excuse being like, oh, because you and Derrick are good friends, I was actually giving him really like knowledgeable information and decisions and like just like really breaking it down. And he wasn't listening to anything. It was like his way or the highway. And, there's a part of me too, like, okay, you're going to push me to a limit and you're not going to understand what I'm saying. All right, well, then I'm going to stick my heels in the sand. And it is my way or the highway too. So it was almost like ask him constantly, Tony, do you want to talk? Tony, do you want to talk? No, I don't have anything to say to you. We're going in. I'm like, okay, then, like, if this is the way it's going to be, then I can be just as stubborn too. And at the end of the day, my friendship to him is real. Um, if I would have done that first episode, like first elimination, I know that I would like carry that guilt with me. I know that my family, my sister would be like, Averey, what the hell? I know his brother would be like, Averey, what the hell? And I just didn't have to do it right then and there. And I even said that to Tony and I expressed it. I was like, we don't have to save him every time. But I just want you to know, like, him and Aviv are willing to work with you, Tony. Like you and I
Hmm.
are the outliers in this group. We would have two people, actually more than that, because a lot of my personal friends are in era two. I'm like, we can't talk about our era, but with you and I, era two would look out for us. And he just never gave me anything back other than, well, Derek's your friend, and because you're not willing to say his name, then I'm just gonna go with it. Like
Hmm.
what really actually probably annoyed me more than him not communicating with me was I had all of my bags packed and I was ready to go in. And he didn't pack a single bag. He didn't pack a suitcase. He didn't do anything. And for me, that just showed that he was really that cocky or arrogant. Or he really thought like that I was gonna go with him and be too scared. And I'm like, you obviously don't know who I am then, because like my bags are packed. There's a reason that they're packed. Like if I was gonna like try to tit for tat you, I wouldn't have packed my bags either. But like I'm not. And if this is where we want to go, then this is I guess where we're going. So that for me was probably the most frustrating thing. Like he didn't take me seriously at all to the point like he didn't want to talk to me. He didn't want to pack his bags. Like the whole day before elimination, he was sleeping because he was hungover. Like
Mm.
If I'm looking at this as an outsider, I'm like, okay, this guy got drunk the night before. He's obviously going to ask me to back down, or he's going to back down. And he's doing this for dramatic effect. But when he didn't, I was just really like, okay, here we go. Like, let's may the best era three win. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know.
There we
Yeah.
go. Last thing I want to ask is what is one thing that you wish we got to see that did not make the edit, whether from a physical perspective, strategic perspective, comedic perspective? Derek, let's start with you.
Oh gosh, I wish these questions were I wish this is the one question that I got to, try to remember. Hopefully, Avery, you're thinking of something right now as I'm speaking, because I don't really know. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I can't. All I can say is, like, I wish some of these episodes were like I wish these episodes were 2 hours long, because I
Mhm.
do think that there's a lot of stuff that they cut out. I think a lot of people were like, oh, what happened with the leg? We saw that, you injured it, and you thought you broke it, and there was nothing left. Well, like, there's just not enough time to be like, all right, let me tell 40 people's stories, because
Mhm.
that's what it was. It started with 40 people, not, and then slowly it's dwindling down. But it's just like you're still trying to tell 30 people's story, So it's like some people's, you know, storyline is going to get cut out, or it's going to get chopped into, shorter. So I think the challenge Instagram is doing a good job giving us some outtakes, though.
Yeah, I did. I saw the
I
prank
agree.
war, for instance, that helped fill in some of those blanks there of some stuff that may have happened behind the
I,
scenes.
it was more, that prank war was more brutal than they even showed. I mean, we got like the we got like the watered down
You guys
version
got
of
cold
that.
toilet paper rolls. You made a hole in our divider.
Yes, yes.
Like, it was truly a war. It was
I don't,
scary. I was like, oh my, like we were hiding on the walls because of how fast these things were going. Like it like broke. We broke a. You guys broke a lamp. It went through like a divider thing. Oh, thank God
no.
Leroy was already gone, because there was like soda pop like all over his bed from like
Oh,
dunked it. They were
Oh,
savages.
oh yeah. It full toilet paper rolls into like pop, into like soda,
Yeah.
and then
Yep.
and then and then handed it to us. And then the slingshot was made out of like a workout rubber band. So it
Workout
was like
bands. Yeah.
a monster. So we were shooting these things. I mean, they were probably coming in from like Era 1 and Era 2's house to Era 3 and Era 4's house at like, equivalent to like 90 miles an hour. I mean, they were afraid. They were afraid.
Yeah. It was,
Yeah.
oh.
yeah, we were. I was like, if somebody gets hit by this, they're going to be taken out, like, poof, and
Yeah.
then they're out of the game. Like, it was pretty brutal.
Well,
It
what
was
what about you, Avery? Was it anything along the lines of that, or something else you want to highlight?
Yeah. I wish they would have showed a little bit like more about, like, example of our living conditions, right? Like, I'm sure everybody on the internet right now has been hearing about like, oh, the living conditions were
Mm.
crazy. I wish they really would show us, just like on an average day, like going into the porta potties, take a shower, leaving the thing, like looking at how little the kitchen was, like we're some of us are exaggerating, but some of it's kind of true. And we're like, you guys, like this isn't like, yes, it's beautiful, but like don't think like we're basically in an adult camp, like an adult, like we still have to
Mm.
have rooms, like I wish they would show like more of like the personal stuff, like of how like, the walk to the pool. Like there are so many great conversations walking to that pool and walking back, because you're like in a little hamster tunnel. They didn't really
Hmm.
showcase a lot of that. Like I feel like kind of what Derek said, that there are so many people that you're missing a lot of these side conversations that help give context to the bigger issues at hand. Like,
Mm.
like the Cara and Laurel drama. Like there was definitely a lead up that a lot of people didn't get to see. There's definitely more that wasn't shown. Like do I want to rehash that and go back and see the most in-depth footage? Absolutely not. It was not a fun place to be in. Like when that stuff was happening, but I wish they would give, like Derek said, like a little bit more background, a little bit more context of like why these people all of a sudden don't like each other, or why all of a sudden so and so is giving someone a mean look, or so I feel like they are missing some, not substantial context, but like a little bit to where you're like, oh, I get it now. I get it. This isn't just stemming from like somebody left a plate in the sink and then someone freaked out. Like there was like a progression to this. Like
Mm,
I, I think it would
yeah.
have helped the viewers, but they still did a really good job. I mean, it's hard to deal with 40 of us. Like we're all crazy.
Well, then I'm happy that I got the chance to then talk with the two of you to help, fill in some of those stories and hear from the both of you. I'm glad that you both are doing well as well from a medical perspective. And this is the fun of the season, right? Like getting to talk with Derrick, one of the, OG legends, what Rachel would call the GOAT of the challenge, and Averey, someone who we haven't seen on the challenge in quite some time until All Stars 4. And like
Yeah.
having you two play together, let alone having you talk with me today as a longtime challenge fan, it means a lot. And so thank you both for not only bringing it this season, absolutely, but also bringing it today as well. I very much appreciated the time getting to watch you and talk with you today about everything.
Yeah, thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Thanks for
Yeah, of
having us.
course.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you as well. All the best to you and your respective families, too. I hope everything is well with them. And thank you again. All the best and have a great day.
Too.
Thank you, you too.
Bye bye.